This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Fann, the preacher man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the preacher man.
Welcome tonight to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and my co-host Shanan Jones. You know, Big Papa, he's somewhere doing something, the weather report, saying about his baby, reading a good book, or eating a peanut butter sandwich. But he'll be with us in just a little bit. We got Miss C coming up with church news and information of what's going on around the world and around our city and state and our county. She'll be bringing that information to you. And tonight, you know, we lost O.J. Simpson, and we're going to do a segment around O.J. Simpson tonight. So don't you go nowhere. You stay right there. Ain't nothing but Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the man, and Shanan.
Oh, hi. Miss C here with your 3-minute or less news blast. Listen, I got on some new glasses and I can hardly see, so just bear with me if I sound like I'm reading, okay? Because I am. Okay, listen. Are you caring for a family member, friend, or loved one? Well, AARP would like to offer some help. Join them for Careversations. It's a free event for family caregivers. It's your chance to connect with other caregivers, get tips and encouragement, find local resources, and more. All to help you be ready for what's next on your caregiving journey. To attend a free event in your area, call 1-800-278-1045. That's 1-800-278-1045. Or you can register online at aarp.cvent.com/careatl. All right. Linwood Park Church of God in Christ is inviting you to their 2024 Homecoming Weekend celebration going on April 26th at 8 p.m., April 27th at 6 p.m., and concluding April 28th at 2 p.m. Featured guest artists will be David Walker and High Praise, with guest speakers which include Bishop Nathaniel Richardson and Bishop Spencer Lackey in an old-time revival tag team on Friday. A Saturday night musical featuring Jarrett Boyce, Elder Marcus Taylor, and David Walker in High Praise. This homecoming celebration weekend concludes on Sunday with Bishop Spencer Lackey and the Temple of Prayer Cathedral. Linwood Park Church of God in Christ is located at 1424 Windsor Parkway in Northwest Atlanta. This has been Miss C. See you next time.
Well, thank you, Miss C, for all your news and information, and thank you for your new glasses. But you need to get them checked, because that's not Spencer Lackey that's preaching on Sunday. It's Bishop Aaron B. Lackey that's preaching on Sunday. He is the pastor of Temple Prayer Cathedral. Okay? They're brothers, but they don't have the same name. Okay? Thank you so very much, Miss C. Hey, Miss C, she's forgetting to tell the people to like and subscribe.
Ain't nothing I can say.
And then you can say, but help me see. You can't help me see.
I can't help it tonight. I can't.
Well, the glasses look nice. Oh, she got a nice new pair of glasses. They look really good.
And they work. So just let them adjust a little bit. So you just go on, Spencer. You just go right on. And preach, Spencer, preach.
Well, Spencer preaching Monday night. Him and Bishop Richardson, they preaching Monday night. Bishop Lackett, the presiding prelate, is preaching on Sunday. Okay? All right. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to get ready now, because we're going to do a segment on O.J. Simpson. And we got a little brief commentary about, a little history about his life. And then Shanan and I, we're going to talk more about who O.J. Simpson was and about some of the things that he went through and the accomplishments that he made. And of course, we're going to now hear from Mr. Simpson. Hear from the news commentator talk about Mr. Simpson and his career span. We'll be back on the other side. We'll be back on the other side, Shannon. I'm going to let you talk all about OJ.
star who became a media sensation. He won the Heisman Trophy at USC before an 11-season NFL career with the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. In 1973, he was the first player to rush more than 2,000 yards in a single season. After retiring from the league, he launched a successful career as a sports broadcaster, film star, and ad pitchman. But in June of 1994, the world watched police chase his white Bronco across LA freeways. His ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman were found stabbed to death. Simpson was accused of their murders, and his televised trial became a global event.
And of course, the infamous moment at the trial that I think none of us could ever forget was the day he tried on the glove, and that the glove did not fit.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Not guilty of the crime of murder.
A jury finding him not guilty, but his reputation was forever tarnished. In a civil lawsuit from the victims' families, he was found liable and ordered to pay millions of dollars in damages. In later years, his book, If I Did It, garnered headlines, and he served prison time for a 2007 Las Vegas robbery. He served 9 years in prison before he was paroled in 2017. His family said when Simpson died, he was surrounded by his children and grandchildren.
Well, back on the other side with the O.J. Simpson story, and hey, listen, he was a great athlete, great movie star, did commercials, and ended up being accused of killing his ex-wife and her friend, and got off of that. Doesn't fit, you must have quit, and then ended up going to jail for 9 years for burglary, trying to retrieve some of his possession that had been auctioned off. Shanan, he died from cancer. We all got to leave here, but I just want to talk a little bit about it. You probably don't know as much about OJ because 72. When you were born, 74, somewhere along in there, 72 when he got those two first ones.
I know a lot about OJ, but I was born in 74. He was the #1 draft pick in 69.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah, so I know a few things about him because I come from an athletic family. So the juice was.
Well, what you know about the juice? What you know about the juice? What other than running through the airport for Earth?
I know one thing about the juice. I know that on June the 17th, 1994, we were all watching NBA Finals, and they cut in on us and showed us this Bronco, and we didn't know what that Bronco was. We had heard some reports during the day that O.J. Simpson was wanted to be questioned for. To be questioned, and that his ex-wife was killed the night before. I believe O.J. was in Chicago, had flown to Chicago for some type of sports event that he had to go and to do, and he had to fly back, and we didn't hear anything. I think it was about a day or so. And next thing you know, we see him, Al driving him in the Bronco, and as he's in that Bronco, it's a whole lot of white folk need to bow down and thank God that he got in that white Bronco, because he made a lot of careers when he got in that white Bronco. That he made a whole network called Court TV. Court TV couldn't get the folk that were taping Court TV didn't watch it. Nobody was looking at Court TV, but when O.J. Simpson was in that Bronco, from that moment, June the 17th, 1994, through the time that the late, great Johnny Cochran stood up and said the glove doesn't fit, and if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. From that moment on, Marsha's career, and everybody that touched it. If you were a janitor in that courtroom, you became Judge Alito. Everybody became somebody because of that, and yet it split the nation apart. And it's so interesting that it split the nation apart, because O.J. Simpson, as great as he was as an athlete, And as much as people love the juice, OJ, he was sweet like orange juice, and could run, brother, could run on that field, and he ran so fast and could move so sweet that they had him running through airports on Hertz commercials. I remember as a little boy watching him break in with that afro. Saturday morning when we're sitting up watching Roberta Flack or somebody on Soul Train as we're doing our chores, and here comes OJ jumping over the desk, jumping through the airport, running to get to his Hertz car. You remember that, Bishop?
I remember that. That's what I said earlier. I was saying that
Yeah.
that's probably about all you remember, but I see you remember a lot.
But listen, here's the thing
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
In
yeah.
all of that, he wasn't a Bill Russell.
Right,
He wasn't a Muhammad Ali. He was
right.
not a conscious brother that we came to see. But you loved him because we didn't have very many role models that we could see on TV. And here they on the top of the mountain. They put OJ up there, man. Black athletes and folk that could run faster than OJ, catch balls quicker than OJ, might have been as handsome as OJ, didn't get there. They put him on the top of the mountain and gave him everything that they wanted him to have. OJ didn't come in our community, date our sisters, and you didn't see him at the AMVETS or at the East Figure Eight or anything like that, or at the black churches. I know we're on WIGO. Let me talk to our church audience tonight. You didn't see him at our churches and at our conventions, this, that, and the other. We didn't connect with him like we connected with other black athletes. And what am I saying? What I'm saying is that OJ looked like us, but he ran for the other side of town. Yet, when his ex-wife, who was the personification of what society says is beautiful, blonde hair, blue eye, tall white woman, was killed, immediately they took OJ off the mountain, put him all the way down in the alley. Immediately, OJ became not OJ, but he became like OJ Muhammad, OJ Abdul, OJ Lamont. I mean, he just OJ Sanford. I mean, he just became like all of. They just put OJ. They took him off the mountain and threw him at us. And black folks stood up, and debates happened. Folks got in debates, and I remember folks at work hollering. I was in Boston working at the legislature, at the state house, and I remember folks almost getting in fights. I was called an eggplant. I thought it was a compliment. I said, "Oh, eggplant, beautiful." Beautiful. Like, I had to go look it up. What is an egg? And this Italian called me an eggplant because I was asked, "Do you think OJ killed her?" And I said, "I really don't think OJ did that. He's not a killer. He's an athlete. He's an actor. He's a television personality. I don't believe he's a killer." And you stupid eggplant. I mean, so it's so funny how the world gave it, and the world took it away from him. And we watched his acclaim, and we watched his fall from grace. And then next thing you know, after that brother got on trial, because he didn't have Johnny Cochran at first, because he didn't know. He knew of Johnny because Johnny was the stuff in Chicago. In California. But even though he was the stuff bishop in California, he didn't hire Johnny Cochran first. No, he went and got Shapiro, who was going to cut a deal and put him in jail for almost forever, and his friends and all that. And they hired this brother. And this brother, Shapiro, couldn't stand Johnny. And this brother pulled this team together and said, "No, we ain't cut no deals. This brother gonna walk. Brother, hear me, you're gonna walk out." OJ didn't believe that he was gonna walk. And Johnny Cochran, a Baptist boy, let me say that, amen, who believed, who had some show enough faith, Johnny Cochran Jr. stood up, and they put that glove on him. And I put out a link today with Carl Douglas, one of the attorneys. And there was a camera that looked at the table the whole time that the attorneys were there, and the camera stayed on him, almost like a security camera. And Johnny Cochran said, when they put that camera, when he puts his glove on, because he couldn't, the glove was in evidence. So they didn't like they could try to, Bishop, you and I, we ain't gonna, we're gonna run something by something. We ain't gonna get up there and make the crescendo of our thing. We ain't tried it and true. We know it's gonna work. We know this dog is gonna hunt, but they didn't know the dog was gonna hunt because the glove was in evidence. And they were going to put the glove on, and one of the consulting attorneys said, "Oh, I know what we can say." He said, "I got it." And he said, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And Carl Douglas said, the team said, that's a Johnny Cochran line. They said Johnny Cochran can deliver that line. OJ put that glove on, and here's what Johnny Cochran told the team. He said, "Don't you look nervous. That camera's going to be on. We don't know, but we don't believe that glove is going to fit. But don't you be nervous." And you go back and look at the team, and as he putting that glove on, man, them guys are like it's like they on the tallest roller coaster at Six Flags. It's like they going down like, oh God, but they keeping themselves composed. It was they should have gotten the Academy Award for that. And when that thing didn't fit, OJ went and sold it. Carl Douglas says, as an actor, he just went and, did all this because he didn't know. I mean, they didn't know. Or did they switch the gloves? Because remember that you had Mark Furman and all this. This was the trial of the 20th century.
It was.
And it was brought to you by O.J. Simpson, a brother who we really didn't identify with. But I'm going to say this. One thing we identified was his Black Christian mama, who said after it was over, she didn't say, "Thank you, Johnny." She didn't scream out and say, "Son, I knew you didn't do it." She said, "The prayers of the righteous
availeth much.
Availeth much." She didn't see a dream, OJ. She saw what your mama and my mama, all the Black mamas that taught us and drug us to church and to Sunday school and to all of the other BTU and all the other stuff we had to go through. She said as a mother that he is a deliverer in the courtroom and he will deliver my son. And she gave her attorney, Jesus, the credit on that night. That's what I remember about number 32. Buffalo's number 32, the great O.J. Simpson.
Let me just step in for some commentary here. You gave a great commentary in terms of OJ's trial and the outcome of the trial, but I want to move to the second phase of OJ's life. After having been acquitted, he wrote that book. And then after writing that book, he and some of his golfing buddies went into a home of an individual who had bought the artifacts, his artifacts, and I don't know what was on his mind. He said he don't know what was on his mind. He didn't see he was doing anything wrong. But however, he ended up doing 9 years in prison for that crime. And eventually he was sentenced to 30 years, but they reduced it to 9 years, and he got out on parole. But as you said, he was an icon to Black people in terms of who he was and the things he had done. But we had Jim Brown. Jim Brown was that same kind of icon in terms of football. But when we go back and we look at the life of OJ, and what he actually really did was he showed Black people, young Black people, that one is that you can be successful, but you can also be a failure, because you can make one lapse in judgment, and that's what he did when he tried to get his artifact. That was a lapse in judgment. That caused him to do 9 years in prison for trying to retrieve his things back that had been stolen by the Brown family on an auction to this individual. The individual never was named who home he broke into, he and his comrade. but he ended up spending 9 years in jail behind that, or in prison behind that. There's a difference between jail and prison. Jail is where you stay before you're sentenced, and prison is where you go once you've been sentenced. So he spent 9 years in prison. And so now many people still to this day believe, Shannon, and to our listening audience, that he was guilty, that he did commit that crime of killing his wife and his ex-wife and Mr. Brown. And there's still mixed emotions and feelings about it, because there's things that were never brought out, as people say, in terms of he and his wife, strange marriage. But there's still some mixed emotions about whether or not he was guilty or not. But as you said and articulated very well, is that he came back home, and the black community, they brought him back, sent him back home, and he offered that mountain back to black folks, and black folks rallied behind him, and they believed and prayed along with his mother that he be set free, and he was set free from that incident. But with a lapse of judgment, he ended up still doing. And so some people felt that was justice and vindication for the act that he was acquitted for, and some people still feel today that he did, as I said earlier, that he did, whether the glove fit or not fit, that he was guilty of killing his estranged wife and her friend.
Well, it's so funny that after man puts you on the mountain and says you are anointed one, you know, if a person can make you, they send you up on the elevator, they can bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
And he took him down off that mountain. Brother OJ showed up at a church with a dashiki on. Black folk laughed. They said, "Brother, you don't have to put a dashiki. We know you don't own no dashikis. That dashiki don't even fit you. That dashiki. Where did you get that dashiki from? Take that dashiki off. We know you. We know even when you didn't know who you were. We know who you were and whose you were." And he had to write the book if I had done it because he was so broke that I mean he wasn't thinking about. I don't think he was thinking in interviews. He's thinking about how he would have done something like that because he, you know, it was a ploy to make money from that book. And then Ron Goldman's family bought the book and didn't drop the F. That was their book, and they made a great deal of money because they had taken the $33 million that he had to pay for trying to go and get the artifacts back, which some of that was his material that he had lost from something. I think his Heisman Trophy and some other things, and he was trying to get that because at this point he was trying to monetize everything he had just to be able to live because he had himself, he had his mother to take. There was a whole lot of people that were on that punched the clock, not of a business, but they punched the clock of OJ. Their time card was OJ. And
don't forget he had to take care of still his kids. He still had to take care of his kids.
The two kids, and then he had older children too that were supporting him, and his mother and family, sisters, and a lot of folks that OJ was dealing with. So he was under a great deal of stress. And ain't that something that he had never had to deal with that stress before because the man had taken that from him. So he didn't identify with the brother that had 5 children that had to, you know, go work 2 and 3 jobs to make it and had to struggle and had to struggle in his own mind and say, Lord, keep me from doing something wrong. Keep me from going to steal something or do something to provide for my family. It's the stress that black men have to go through, that black men go through in society that others them every day, disconnected from that. And yet God allowed him through all of this to experience what every other brother struggled with in life. And any other folks that were marginalized and poor and struggling too, and the stress. He never knew that stress from university, from USC to the Buffalo Bills to being on the sidelines to the movies to the all of the advertising, everything. He never knew what it felt like to be Greg Fann, Shanan Jones, Horace Jones, Mr. Fann, your father. He didn't know that. He didn't know what it meant to be O.J. Simpson Sr. He didn't know what that was, and yet he didn't leave this life without experiencing what we all experience. So it was a bad lapse in judgment, but the prisons are filled with brothers who, in the stress of life, made a lapse of judgment. And they didn't do it for their own personal aggrandizement. Man, they did it for bread and butter, to put steak on the table and to try to take it. Doesn't make it right, but at least we know that it's real.
Well, what you said is so true, because black men go through that each and every day. I had a gentleman come by the church who was struggling. He's about to be evicted, he and his family. And he said, do you guys help with, rental assistance? He just has found him a job. His wife had a little piece of job. He has kids. He's taking care of his mother. And that's what you're talking about. It's that kind of stress or strain that he never, ever felt to be a threat of being evicted, a threat of losing your family, because your family got to be broken up because you don't have a roof to put over their head, because you can't afford the roof to go over their head. And that's what people are experiencing right today, Shannon, right today, with the price of houses and the price of rent rising up and going up the way it is, that we're struggling like that now. So yes, he had never experienced it, but he ended up experiencing it and finding out what life was really all about. And I'm sure, because his mother was a God-fearing woman, she said to him, son, while you in there, talk to God, get a relationship with Jesus, know who he is, and he'll help you make it through what you're going to have to go through these 9 years, like many of our parents have done. And Samuel's taking the program tonight, but he'll be all right. But anyway, Shanan, we got about a minute left. I want to just invite people to our churches.
Let's say this, Bishop, as Samuel was doing this, where did O.J. May go back to? He came back to his community, to his family. All we got our Lord, and we got our family and our community. We ought not forsake our community, because our community will embrace us when nothing else will embrace us, and nobody else will embrace us in this world. The black community will embrace you, and it did O.J. The black family will embrace you, and it did O.J.
Well, let me just close as we close out today, and I was just sharing about my experience at the church, and I'm sure that other pastors who are listening and other folks who have churches have experienced similar things. But I want to invite people to Liberty International at 1362 Metropolitan Parkway in the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. We start Sunday school at 9 a.m. and morning worship at 10. Shannon, invite them to the gathering.
I want to invite you to the Gathering Church. Be with us every Sunday at 11 o'clock at 3707 Main Street, College Park, Georgia, 30337. Again, that's 3707 Main Street, College Park, Georgia, 30337. That's the Club E-Biz building. We're upstairs in the upper room. Come visit with the gathering.
In the upper room. Ladies and gentlemen, this ain't been nothing but straight talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man. Listen to us each and every week, Sunday at 7 p.m. on WIGO 1570 on your AM dial. And share, like, subscribe, make comments. We'll see you next week right here with nothing but what, Shanan? Straight talk. Take us out of here, Hal.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fann at FANN922 at Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Greg Fann, the Preacher Man.